Hi guys, back with another video for you today. Today we're doing something a little different. I'm in front of my designer collection of fragrances, these two racks here. But today I'm not ranking any fragrances, we're actually ranking my favorite designer brands. So if you want to find out my top 20 favorite designer brands, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time tuning into this channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways and still haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So this is a top 20 list I was planning a couple months ago, and I put it off, and then fall was on its way, so I thought I'd do the fall videos, and then finally this is the weekend before I leave on this trip, and I thought let's just rank my 20 favorite designer brands. No fragrances ranking, although I'm going to mention some fragrances from each brand that I have in my collection. But if you want to find out what my top 20 favorite designer brands are, then this is the video. So we're going to start off with number 20, and the number 20 house is Azzaro. Azzaro is a house that I have a sort of love-hate relationship with. A lot of the fragrances from the past were awesome, amazing fragrances. Some of the fragrances now are sort of on the mediocre side, so that's why it's at the bottom. This is a house that's owned by Clarins Fragrance Group, and recently found out that potentially they're going to be part of L'Oreal soon. So that's even scarier, as they don't release a lot of great fragrances. But there are two fragrances that I really love from this house. This is Azzaro Pour Homme, this one right here, and of course the Intense version, which is freaking amazing. Not a lot of people talk about this one, but this one is a powerhouse fragrance, barbershop fougere from 1978. So it's the disco era, the 70s, and all that good stuff. Still smells amazing. There's a licoricey touch in here that I really like, an anise touch. Here they've added a boozy touch and all that good stuff. So these are really great fragrances. So Azzaro is number 20. Number 19 favorite designer brand or house is Dunhill. I have my Dunhill icon here, but my Century is somewhere else. I think it's being planned for another video. But they have two fragrances that I really like from this house. Of course, Dunhill Icon has multiple flankers. It's a very successful fragrance for them and a great looking bottle. And then of course Century just came out late last year. That's also a great release. Very, very clean, woody fragrance, kind of reminiscent to Santal 33. So Dunhill is one of those brands that's not very consistent or doesn't release too many fragrances. They have like just a couple of different fragrances for men, whereas the other houses have lots of different fragrances. That's why Dunhill is more in the bottom. So number 19 is Dunhill. Now we're going to number 18, and that house is Jean Varvatos, and we have Dark Rebel, of course, is one fragrance I have from the house. Dark Rebel Rider, and then the Jean Varvatos Oud. So Jean Varvatos is a great designer house. They do release some great quality fragrances. I just don't have a lot of them, and I don't know, something about Jean Varvatos just doesn't feel like other houses, like for example Chanel or Dior, Tom Ford or Mugler. So that's why it's at the bottom. There's just something not hype worthy about the brand, and it's at the bottom. But the fragrances I have, like Dark Rebel Rider, the Oud, I think are very, very quality releases. Anyway, because of that, it's at the bottom at number 18. So number 17, going to the house of Armani. This is another house that's under L'Oreal, and I don't have a lot of fragrances from Armani. Of course, I have the original Acqua di Gio, and then I currently have the special blend of Acqua di Gio Profumo, and that's pretty much it for this house. I don't own anything else from the house, and these two fragrances are great. I wore the original Acqua di Gio when it first came out in '97, and I really liked it, but the L'Oreal umbrella reformulates fragrances so much, so much, so that it just the fragrances become a little too watery. That's what happened to Acqua di Gio. Special Blend and the original Profumo from Armani Acqua di Gio are still great smelling fragrances and a great designer, but it's ranked at the bottom because I don't own a lot of fragrances from this house. Also, I don't have any of their private collection fragrances from this house, so I'm kind of like I'm not a big fan of the house, but I should check out their private blend collection. They're not necessarily called private blend, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, number 17 is Armani. I take that back. I also have Armani code from Armani, so it's another one that I like, and it's okay. It's not my favorite house, of course. So number 16 is YSL, and YSL, I do have some fragrances, as you can see here. I have quite a bit of different fragrances, but I find that since they are part of L'Oreal, still they're watery down kind of fragrances. Unfortunately, recently Rive Gauche was removed from the USA YSL Beauty website, and I ended up buying 4 bottles, so got a backup of it. And also recently I started getting into their more Le Vestiaire collection fragrances, where I have CAFTAN and I have VINYLE from this house, and I like those fragrances, and I want to explore their Le Vestiaire collection a little further. Of course, there's the original Rive Gauche Pour Homme. No, I'm sorry, this is not Pour Homme, this is Pour Femme, the original. That's an aldehydic classic ladies fragrance. My mom wore this back in the 70s. And then there's KOUROS, the original KOUROS. That's still pretty good, but it's not great. The reformulations have done pretty bad things to it. I have a couple of other flankers to KOUROS as well, so those are pretty good releases from this house, but still it ranks at the bottom even further. So number 14, or no, we're at number 16 YSL, and then number 15 is Cartier, and Cartier is way down there. I have Declaration, I have Declaration Don Soir, and I hear those are discontinued. The Declaration Parfum is great. And then of course Cartier has this bad boy called Le Baiser du Dragon. It's a great boozy almond liqueur, almonds, patchouli, caramel. This is absolutely delicious. This is probably one of the better fragrances I have from this house. That's in the regular collection of fragrances. It is for women, but it's pretty unisex. Check it out. There is this one from Cartier, a pretty good honey fragrance, L'Envol de Cartier. This is the EDP version that I like. Recently, I also picked up some tester bottles of several of the Cartier exclusive or more expensive luxury fragrances, the ouds. So I have Oud Radeau, which is ginger and oud, amazing fragrance. Then I also have Oud Musk, Oud Rose, and Oud something else. So I have those testers that I bought from someone that was selling them. So those are really good as well. So those are from the Cartier house. Number 14 is Valentino. Now I think this was a toss-up. Valentino and Cartier could have been switched around, but I just ended up going with this route. Valentino has a really great men's fragrance. Of course, this collection, the Valentino UOMO collection, and then of course the UOMO Intense is amazing. That's why I kind of made it up. Then also I have UOMO ABSOLU somewhere else because I'm planning another video and I don't have that one. These 3 fragrances are pretty darn amazing, but it's lacking in men's fragrances or different men's fragrances. These are the only current releases they have from this house, and they're great designer releases, really good. The Intense is my favorite of these 2, and the Absolu is even better, I think, or it matches the quality of this one, but great fragrances from Valentino. That's why Valentino is at number 14. Number 13 is Prada. Prada L'Homme, this one right here. Prada Black. It's Luna Rosa Black that I love. A lot of people think I don't like it because I was comparing it to Bulgari Black, but it's a great scent on its own. I do have the EDP version of this as well, the Intense, and then I also have the low version. The low version kind of is boring. This is a great release. It's kind of inspired by the Dior Homme kind of series of fragrances. So Prada ends up being at number 13. So another fragrance house that I really like, and that's at number 12, is the Lalique house. Lalique has some awesome fragrances like Encre Noir, I like Extreme, the Sport. Of course, there's also the Pour Elle, the woman's version. Those are like staples in the fragrance community. A lot of people that love fragrances, vetiver, love those fragrances. Then there's other fragrances like Lalique's Hommage L'Homme, this one right here, which focuses on violet leaves. It's a little bit like tobacco, a little bit. It's very unique. And then of course Lalique Pour Homme. This one's a great lavender, slightly fougere-like fragrance. Then there's of course a great fragrance called White. So these are some awesome fragrances from the house of Lalique that I really like, and that's why Lalique is ranking up there, even though they make glassware and crystals and things like that. So That's another house at number 12. At number 11, we're going to the very first LVMH owned brand on this list. It's Givenchy. Givenchy recently got more exciting for me within the last couple of years when they launched the Gentleman Givenchy EDT. But I'm obsessed with the EDT cologne, which is really lemony and fresh. Of course, the original Gentleman, this one right here, is a classic. You cannot go wrong with this. It's a powerhouse and a Malik bad boy. Really, really great. It still smells great, actually, after all these years, and it came out in the 70s. Of course, the original EDT, and then the EDP is phenomenal. It's such a great scent. I absolutely love this one. This one's a great, great classy men's Iris Oris balsamic release, just to die for release. It's created by Nathalie Lorson, and it's a great quality. I think it's created with Olivier Cresp, another perfumer. So that is Gentleman Givenchy from EDP. Gentleman Givenchy EDP from Givenchy. Okay, so at number 10, we're going to the house of Hermes. So my 10th favorite house is Hermes, and they've got great fragrances, like, for example, Terre de Hermes Eau Très Fraîche, this one here, created by Jean-Claude Elena, and he also made a fragrance, I think this came before, or that one for Frederic Malle came before, which I'm drawing a blank with the name, but that fragrance smells like this, so you can get a less expensive version of that fragrance from Frederic Malle in Eau Très Fraîche. Really love this fresh, lemony, citrusy, cuminy take on the original Terre de Hermes. So Terre de Hermes is a classy collection of flankers fragrances from Hermes, but then again you have fragrances like Bel Ami Vetiver, which I have gotten tired of over the years but still wear it occasionally. Equipage Uranium is a great, great release from Hermes. Un Jardin Mediterranean, awesome release, a great, great fig fragrance. And then you gotta love Hermes Eau d'Orange Vert. This version is the concentré version, but that's really, really awesome, and I love it because it's very, very lemony, but it's orange and woody and petitgrain, and then of course Eau de Rhubarbe by Carlart is also a great release. It's very, very fruity rhubarb fragrance that's delicious. So my number 10th favorite designer house is Hermes, and then we're going to the house of Costume National, which fragrances are over there. So many great fragrances here. It's a smaller, maybe independent designer house, Italian, of course. And you've got Sol, you've got Cyber Garden with the green bottle. Let me get them. The new fragrances, J and I, both great releases, love them. This is Costume National Homme. If you don't know Costume National, you should definitely check out my videos. I have a playlist of videos for this house, and you'll learn a lot about them. It's an Italian house, as I said. So at number 8, I've got a tie. 2 Italian houses. We've got Gucci right up there. And then we also have Bottega Veneta right down here. As I'm getting more and more into Bottega Veneta, I'm really enjoying this house. Now, I'm really enjoying the Bottega Veneta house for their more expensive collection, their private collection or exclusive collection of fragrances. And I've done reviews for their Cipresso and Olivo, but I've got more of their fragrances down here that I'll do future reviews of. And then of course with Gucci, they've got some great releases. They've turned around a lot from the last 3 years, and all their fragrances are great. Gucci Pour Homme, Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Absolute, the new cologne, and then of course the new memoir, and then of course there's the Oud, Guilty Oud, and then the Guilty Femme. Lots of great fragrances in this house, and then of course there's some of their exclusive lineup of fragrances right here as well, as you can see, and those are also pretty darn good. They do make great fragrances. All of them are created recently from Alberto Morea, so a great collection of fragrances. I can only wait to see what they're going to do next with their fragrances, but it's awesome. It's a great house. Both of them are Italian, of course. Check them out, but it's a tie, and it's Gucci and Bottega Veneta at number 8. So at number 7, we've got Louis Vuitton. Now, Louis Vuitton only makes expensive fragrances, so I consider them they're only like their private collection of fragrances because they don't have any less expensive fragrances. And also the great thing about Louis Vuitton's fragrances are they're refillable. So that's always a great thing because you can refill them if you run out. And sometimes I do split fragrances with local the friends that I have here, and of course family. But Louis Vuitton's fragrances are awesome. I think they're higher end designer fragrances that's kind of niche quality but still very designer. So they're unique for designer but not so unique for niche, but then it's a great combo of fragrance. They've got lots of fragrances and they just launched their 20th fragrance. So Louis Vuitton is a great house. As you can see, I have fragrances here from Louis Vuitton, like this one's Au Hazard. Another fragrance that I love from this house is Afternoon Swim, Sun Song, Orage, lots of great fragrances from Louis Vuitton. So that's why it's at number 7. Now my number 6, is it traditionally a designer? It's always listed as designer. I used to list it as niche, but I was an odd man out always. So now I'm listing it as designer. It's Guerlain, and Guerlain's right over here. Guerlain has some awesome fragrances. They're classics, they're staples, they're just a great house. Another house that's owned by LVMH. Of course, Louis Vuitton is also owned by LVMH. I didn't mention who the parent companies for Gucci and Bottega Veneta are, but that's Coty. But Guerlain makes some great releases. Like, well, this is one of my favorites here. L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum is a great release. Recently, I bought Mandarin Basilic from the Aqua Allegoria collection. Love this scent. It smells so wonderful. It's mandarin oranges with basil. Delicious. It's absolutely delicious. It's a great freshie. It's so fresh and refreshing. It's like you put it on and you're like amazed by how great it smells. And it's also very authentic. But I have a lot of videos about Guerlain on the channel. You should definitely check out. And it's a great house. Unfortunately, I couldn't fit it up higher, but number 6, it's in the top 10, and it deserves a number 6 spot. Now this next house, you might be confused as to why I put it at number 5. You might think that Guerlain beats it, but I'm just like impressed by the quality of the different types of scents they release. Number 5, and this is the top 5 finally, it's Maison Margiela. Now my Maison Margiela fragrances are down here, and probably the most popular is By the Fireplace. It's my number 1 favorite. This is By the Fireplace. I also love Whispers in the Library, Under the Lemon Trees, and then they also have their more, I guess their exclusiver, more expensive lineup of fragrances like Soul of the Forest, Wicked Love, Across Sands. I think they're releasing great fragrances, even though it's under L'Oreal. I think they are focusing on very niche style of releases, and I really love this house, and that's why it deserves to be at number 5. It would have been a toss-up, Guerlain, Maison Margiela. Guerlain's very classic, Maison Margiela very modern, and that's kind of why I went with Maison Margiela at number 5. So that's there. At number 4, we go into the house of Chanel. As you can see, Chanel is a whole row up here. And lots of different fragrances here. I've got ladies fragrances, men's fragrances, and one of my favorite ladies fragrances is number 19. I absolutely love this one. It is definitely feminine, but it's more of a unisex feminine fragrance. And number 19 is amazing. It's a green fragrance with galbanum as like a main player. You've got to love green fragrances. That's why the juice is also green. So that's number 19. Of course, you've got Antaeus, a very classic fragrance, powerhouse, and a Malik. One of my more latest ladies fragrance acquisitions is Coco Noir. Really love this one. And this one kind of reminds me of Atropé Rêves from Louis Vuitton. They're kind of in that same ballpark, but a great scent. Of course, you can't go wrong for the men's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême. That one's great. And of course, you know, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. It's a great classic men's fragrance. And their exclusives are also awesome. Sycamore 1957 is a great new one that I wear a lot of. It's a musky, fresh citrus. Love it. Coromandel, you can't go wrong with. Anyway, number 4, Chanel. So number 3, designer, is Mugler. It's up here. I've got lots of their fragrances. It has to be at number 3. It used to be a toss-up between Dior and Mugler. Now it's number 3. And then with the whole L'Oreal acquisition thing, that's kind of scaring me. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll get improved with their acquisition, or, you know, their fragrances will, you know, disappoint afterwards. But I love the house. Pure Havane. Of course, the original is Amen. I fell in love with it in 1996, 97, around that time. But they've created so many fragrances since then. And my current favorite is Pure Havane, but I also like Pure Tonka. I love the Mugler Cologne. And I also like the Les Exceptions collections. Over the Musk is an absolute favorite of mine. Coeur Impertinent is also another one. Just great releases. Their house is great. It's number 3, but number 2 is even better. So at number 2, it's Tom Ford. As you can see up here, I've got a lot of Tom Fords. Noir de Noir, Oud Wood, Tuscan Leather, Tobacco Vanille, Ombre Leather. We've got Noir Extreme. There's just so many fragrances here. Amazing fragrances. This was a tough one for me. It's a toss-up between this and number 1. I put it at number 2 because the next one is just a class all the way, kind of a brand, but they're also kind of slipping with their releases lately, unfortunately. And so I probably should have put Tom Ford at number 1, but it's at number 2, unfortunately. But Tom Ford always amazes me with their releases. They are very pricey for their more expensive private blend collection fragrances, but the house has awesome collection of fragrances. I think it's the most niche out of all the designers to me because they have so many different releases in their private blend collection. Anyway, Tom Ford number 2, and the number 1 you probably have guessed already if you haven't already, because it is Dior. It's at right here. Now I love Dior for their Maison Christian Dior collection, but some of their like men's fragrances I love, like Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, of course. Sauvage I can kind of do without. I don't need it, but it's a good one to have as an alternative for something fresh that's not necessarily like really, it doesn't have a lot of depth as far as smells go. It's mostly ambroxan with some citruses and smoky touches. But Fahrenheit Parfum is an amazing release. Absolutely love it. Jules is also great. In the ladies, I love Diorissimo. Love that one. Eau Sauvage is a classic. You can't go wrong with Eau Sauvage. Dior Addict from the women, amazing. And from the Maison Christian Dior collection, Fabulous's top fragrance for me. It's one of my favorite fragrances from any collection. I love wearing it. Dior Homme Parfum is also a favorite fragrance from any collection. Sadly discontinued, I hear. But number 1 is Dior. Anyway, that's my top 20 designer fragrance brands. What do you think of this list? Would you have added any designer brands in the list? Did I miss anything? Let me know. We did have one tie, as I said, so we do have 21 brands. Bottega Veneta and Gucci are tied at number 8. But other than that, guys, this is what I have. Let me know what you think, and what are your favorite fragrances from this brand if you like these brands. And if you did rank yourself the 20 that I rank, or the 21, how would you rank it? Please list it so I can see where you would end up putting the brands, at what number. Thanks so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more videos soon. Next Saturday there will be something more themed. Other than that, please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.